see everyone here. Thanks for coming. There's obviously a bit of interest in this. So just to let you know what the program will be, I'm just going to talk a little bit about our experience in terms of growing things. We're going to, then Mark's going to talk about that. Sort of some principles. So what's this background, the background information is growing. That'll take us up to lunch. After lunch, we're going to walk around. Some of you already have done your own self-guided tour, and that's really good. So we'll go outside and have a look at a whole lot of the things that Mark's talking about. An ecological production system. What is that? And yeah, so we'll do a tour, and then Mark will actually then get into some nitty-gritty in terms of eco-orchard sort of establishment and management. All right, but before we start any of that, I want to do this really quite quickly. I really want to know why you're here today. We actually haven't got time to go through everyone. So I just probably want, let's just say, half a dozen people to share, just to tell us a bit about, are you starting an orchard? Have you got one? Basically we want to know whether you've got one fruit tree or 5,000 acres. And the other thing is, what do you really want to get out of today? Just in one or two words. So, yes.
I want to learn more about how to run the ecological orchard.
How many trees do you have?
I have about 10.
10 trees? Yeah.
Probably more.
Okay, and how old are they?
Only a couple of years.
Okay, so is there something specific you want to get out of this, or just everything?
Lots of food for my kids to learn to grow their own food.
Yep. All right, let's bring someone else. Yes.
So Murray, I've got a clean slate.
Clean slate?
And I've got a bit of a black thumb.
A black thumb. That's even worse than a brown thumb.
I want some local insights.
Local insight. Well, the good thing is that Mark used to live here, and I think he's going to come back here because he knows how awesome it is. So whilst he's in Niagara River, I think he's all over the countryside, but he knows this space.
Close to my heart, yes.
Okay, local insights into local insights into
Growing stuff seasonally.
growing stuff seasonally.
And just enjoying having a healthy garden.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, yes, Pip.
Oh, we've got an established orchard, probably 150, 200 trees,
Yep.
all mixed
Wow.
together. And just always after anything else that can help with management, because
Yep.
it's a big thing, particularly when you're busy.
So management, is this pest, disease, picking, what, you know? I know a lot, management means lots of things.
Lots
Are
of
there-
stuff, but like really soil health,
Yep.
anything that we can do to improve that. Reduce bloody kaiku.
No, we've got that under control.
I'm surprised it's taken that long for that one to come up.
It's a blessing.
Yep.
Control. Yeah.
Okay, so what pests?
No, that wasn't there, no. Yeah.
Let's go to Venetia and then let's come back to you, yeah?
I think I'd like to put in continuity of care, because we can all get very enthusiastic when we start, and then it's that
Our enthusiasm wanes a bit?
Well, no, not even our enthusiasm. My enthusiasm has never waned. I become disheartened as the soil dries out, the pests start, the limbs drop off the trees, and so
a program or things to do.
Yeah, I think so. Just to that, in getting those systems in place.
Okay, systems in place.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we'll just do a couple more. So
yes, so I've got 2.5 acres just over here, and every single tree I've put on my property, I've had to dig a hole, but I had to get holes actually bored.
2.5 acres of fruit trees?
No.
How many fruit trees?
No, I've only got like 10, 15.
10? Yep.
Yeah, 15, yeah. But they're all into coffee rock, so
yeah.
I just want to make sure
I
want to understand how I can make the soil good and have an ecosystem.
Yeah. So this
with all
the
the
system,
vegetation.
People want the system.
The system.
Pest control.
As well.
Right, quickly, let's really quickly, just what pests are you dealing with? Just
Slugs.
Slugs. Yep.
Rabbits.
Rabbits. Rats. What else? Parrots.
Silver eyes.
Ibis. Any other tests?
They killed the.
Aphids.
The one with the curling on the.
Peach leaf girl.
Leaf girl.
Yes.
That's what I reckon, but no, they
All right. Okay. I think we'll leave it at that. Okay.
That's a lot of challenges.
So look, I mean, there's so much stuff we could talk about with an orchard. There's so many issues in terms of establishment management. And thanks, Sophie. We may need to run more of these, or even the evaluation will look at what other topics you might want to look at, so we can. We might be just. We probably can't get to everything today, but we can sort of start off. But that's just useful to know, I guess. There's different scales of operation here. Okay, so we started planting fruit trees in 1996, about a dozen, and we're growing in gutless white sand, affectionately known as silver lime, bit of grey sand, bit of white sand. So there's a dozen fruit trees, dug a big hole, put some nice black compost in, and then when we went to plant the espalier orchard, which is under the net, we dug tiny little holes because I didn't have a lot of compost, and a friend helped me and said, "No, look, we don't need to worry about digging a cubic metre of dirt out." And I thought, hang on, is this? I'm not sure about this, but as we'll see, they have done okay. So, but what have I learned? And I'm just going to go through some things that I've learned. A lot of these I picked up at that Regen Ag conference in Margaret River. I mean, I learned that plants make medicine and food and give it away for free. So we're dealing with a pretty sophisticated system here. I've worked out that growing things is not rocket science. I've worked out it's way more difficult than that. I've worked out we need to get out of the way of nature. There's a lot of things we need to stop doing because nature turns up every day. It's actually on our side. So that's something that I've learned. We need to contract out the growing to the experts, which is not my agronomist or my fertiliser rep. It's actually the plants and microbes. The plants and microbes are farming the soil. I'm not the farmer. I'm just a support officer to this system. So there's way more sophisticated things going on here. And I guess this maybe sums it up in terms of where you might think you are in terms of whether you think you're running the show or whether you think that there's other. I mean, we're basically here, and that there's some pretty amazing systems happening out there, and my job is just to encourage them and tickle them along a little bit. I've learned that plants have to contract out their stomachs and immune systems to a community of microbes. We need diversity here. Plants need a diversity of microbes, and that the soil can be a living system that provides most, I'm not going to say all, of the things that a plant needs: pest disease control and nutritional services. I've also learned that fertiliser can be, not always, can be a soil function disruptor. I've learned that a soil test is useful, but I've learned that we can get really good at hitting the wrong bullseye. My goal is not to have a perfect soil test result. Is to have my goal is actually to have a complex system that can look after itself. I want diversity. I want a bit of chaos. We've called our orchard the closed loop orchard, which is pretty controversial because I don't think we can close the loop. I think a lot of farming, we can look at it as a straight line. That's if you're here, where you're pulling off fruit or some sort of, you're exporting a product and you need to actually import things and replace those nutrients. That's sort of not what we're looking at here. The plants and microbes are farming and building the soil. So I think nature doesn't really do straight lines very well, but I think we can start to bend this straight line and we can sort of start to close the loop. Nature's really good at recycling things. I don't think we can really close it. We are lacking some trace elements here. So so the closed loop orchard, I think maybe it's better to call it closing the loop. I don't think we can close it all together. Gutless white sand, there are some things that we are missing. So I heard that, this is Gabe Brown, who's heard of Gabe Brown? He says that 98% of what a plant needs comes from the sky, and you go, that's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. It just makes you think. So that's probably carbon and hydrogen and oxygen, and I would say maybe nitrogen because that's here as well. So they need other stuff, but a lot of it just comes. A guy called Grant Sims, no-till farmer in Victoria, said that, or he heard this at a conference, that 80% of the nitrogen for our rainforest comes from insects. So it makes me think, because a lot of people just try and kill all the insects, or a lot of the insects, but they can be a form of nitrogen. So just another way to look at insects. There's some of them we don't want, but overall they might be quite useful. Okay, I'm going to just move on pretty quickly. So that's just some concepts, but I just want to give you a couple of little details now. So we've been farming organically, and organic means some things like maintaining the long-term fertility of the soil. It means we use local resources. I'm not buying a whole lot of stuff, so there's things I can find around the farm rather than going and buying stuff. It means that we also it's all about reducing the cost as well. So I don't want to be producing fruit that costs me $50 a kilo. So our orchard and vineyard is a very, very low input vineyard. We've had fruit trees that have essentially, their fertiliser has been water and wood chips. And I'm a bit astounded as to how much fruit they can give us. The things that have done really, really well, plum trees, so much fruit every year. Avocados, you keep the water up, staggering amount of avocados. Apples every year, too many. Pears, huge amount. Apricots, lots of flowers, no fruit. And I think, thanks to Mark, we've nailed that down to lacking some trace elements. And we will do, who has cherries? Who has pear and cherry slope? Okay, I'm surprised they didn't come up. I'll get that out. So pear and cherry slope. So tried success, pyrethrum, wood ash, and even dishwasher liquid. They all killed them, but they keep coming back. This year they've actually really annihilated us. So I think the situation for us is that some of our fruit trees are not photosynthesizing there effectively. They don't have particular trace elements. So we have nitrogen in the plant sap, which is food for pests. So the problem is nutrition for my plants. And we haven't got time, but we've got, I've got the results here. So I'm fighting cherry slope via trace element foliars. So if there's no nitrate in the sap, there's no food for them. So I just wanted to sort of put that out there. Fertiliser test, our soil test is really useful, but we can, as I said, get really good at hitting the wrong bullseye. We need a bit more information than that. And I think maybe Mark, you might be picking up on that.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anyway, I'm going to finish up there and hand over to Mark, but that's just a few little snippets of our experience. So over to you.